reason that you're suffering so much after rejection is not because you lost the relationship. What if the real pain is the meaning that you actually attach to it? What if someone leaving triggers story you have been carrying for years? And that story says, I'm not enough, I'm too much, I will always be abandoned. Today, I'm going to talk to you about something I think most of us struggle after a heartbreak, maybe divorce, ghosting, rejection, or even the ending of a friendship. Why do we immediately turn someone leaving into proof that something is wrong with us? And what if it really wasn't about you at all and it wasn't about your worth? Okay, so welcome, welcome, welcome to another episode of From Breakup to Badass. I am Yanira Puy, speaker, wellness coach, and your guide through healing, reinvention, and becoming the woman that you were always meant to be, that badass. And today's episode is one that maybe I wish someone had explained to me years ago, because so many people are not only grieving the loss of the relationship, they're grieving their identity after the rejection. Let's start from the beginning. Why rejection hurts so much? And I think I have talked to about this in many other episodes. But one of the hardest things about heartbreak is not just losing a person; it's what we make the loss mean. Almost immediately after someone leaves, or maybe in your brain you think you abandoned or that person abandoned you, our brain starts searching for answers. What did I do wrong? Why it wasn't enough for the relationship for them? Why did they choose someone else over me? Why was I not worth fighting for? And this is normal. And before we even realize it, the breakup becomes something personal. And not personal as in painful, but personal in identity. Because it goes directly to I am not good enough. I am not lovable. I am abandoned. I'm always. So every time you use the am, you talk about identity. So we stop seeing the ending as just an experience, as something that happens, and we start seeing it as evidence, evidence or proof that shows that we are not worth it. Evidence that maybe we're not lovable enough, maybe attractive enough, worthy enough. But this is important to understand because your brain is wired for connection and belonging. Research from the UCLA found that social rejection activates the same brain regions, the same regions of the brain that are associated with physical pain. And this is the one that I have talked about before. So that means that rejection is not just emotionally uncomfortable. Your brain experience that rejection as a threat. So when someone leaves, your nervous system often interprets it as something is wrong, something is unsafe, I am not chosen. And this is why rejection can feel so overwhelming. And this is one of the reasons why, like, sometimes we turn rejection into identity, what I was talking to you before. This is where things become really dangerous emotionally, because one breakup can suddenly become, I am hard to love, I am too much, I always end up alone. It's like, this is the end of the world, and that's it. I was going to say it's the end of the world as you know it, and then I was going to start singing for sure that song. But anyway, sometimes we don't even realize how much all pain, and this is important, is attached to that reaction. Sometimes the breakup or the heartbreak hurts so much, but not only because of the relationship itself, but because it awakens older wounds. If you, I mean, maybe you have heard about, your inner child, and this is what it is. I remember one episode. I'm not sure if it was an interview that somebody did to Esther Perel. She's, she's like a relationship coach. She's an author. She's a podcaster. And I remember that she said something in the interview or where whatever she was speaking, and she said, like maybe, this couple, they're arguing because one leaves the closet door open and the other one it closed. And it doesn't mean, it's not about that. It's about maybe, the father always yelling when the door was open. So it's like the wound, it repeats in itself, right? So maybe that breakup, maybe that heartbreak, it touches abandonment from childhood. Maybe it reminds you of not feeling seen by someone, but your teacher, whatever it is. Maybe it activate years of seeking validation through relationships. And it's funny because I have talked openly about this, not only this podcast, but actually in my other podcasts in Spanish. And I do think that one of the traumas, right, that I have from the past, and it's that I've always tried to have my parents like see me. I was the youngest. I am the youngest of four siblings, and I mean, my parents, they had enough kids to like pay too much attention to me. It didn't mean that they didn't love me, but I mean, they already knew that I was gonna be okay, I guess. Anyway, I was always trying to seek validation. I was always trying to seek love. And when things happened to me, let's talk about this heartbreak, it repeated that trauma, like seeking love. Like I was seeking love because they didn't love me. And then I have somebody that says he doesn't love me anymore. And I'm like, okay. So that's why. So now the pain is not just about one person leaving, it's about every moment that you have questioned your worth. And this is why healing heartbreak is deeper than just, oh, move on, right? Like some people is like, I'll move on, like they didn't deserve you, move on, you're gonna find somebody else, which could be true. However, it doesn't solve the problem. Sometimes it happens that way. So you need to understand and you need to be aware of your wounds, so you understand that, maybe, I'm not going to say overreacting, but maybe it hurts so much because you're experiencing the same thing all over again. So that's one thing, trying to be aware of the past, of the wounds that you haven't healed. But sometimes maybe it's really about them and not you. And this is important because sometimes, as I said before, when relationships end, be they could end because the other person's emotional limitations, and this has nothing to do with your worth. So sometimes people leave because, one, they could be emotionally unavailable, right? Sometimes they leave because they're unhealed, or they're confused, or they're afraid of intimacy, or afraid of commitment, or unable to communicate, or simply you're not aligned with, or they're not aligned with with your life, right? And why I'm talking about this, because maybe it's about them. It's not about you. They left for their own reasons and not because you were not worth it. So, someone not choosing you does not automatically mean there was something wrong with you. Sometimes people can only love at certain level that they have healed, and that has nothing to do with your value as a human being. And this is not about blaming them or making them the villain. This is about you understanding that not every ending is proof that you fell. Maybe it wasn't meant to be. There is a saying like sometimes people are like they just come for a season or a reason or something like that. I'm not sure about that, but sometimes people are in your life because they need to teach you something. And when they do, they're gone, right? Or maybe you're not aligned anymore. And this is why I want to talk about incompatibility, because that is not failure. Some people are so afraid to fail, and just like Thomas Alva Edison would say, I did not fail. I found 999 reasons like how not to do it, right? So sometimes two people love each other and they might not be aligned. And, in relationships and in life, we all grow in different ways. And you see it maybe, with your family, maybe with your friends, that you were, I don't know, in your 20s, you were all like dancing, going to parties, smoking, whatever. And now you don't want to do that anymore. And one of your friends, they do, and you're not aligned anymore. And that's okay. It could be different communication styles. It could be different emotional needs or different visions. I remember one time when I asked my ex, like, what do you want to do, with the rest of your life? And he said, I just want to ride in my motorcycle, travel the world in my motorcycle. And when I heard that, I'm like, no, I want to do more. I want to, like, in my mind, I didn't say that anything at that time, but we grew apart. He had a different vision of what he wanted with his life. And for me, it was totally different. Like, I'm a podcaster, I'm finishing my book, and I'm doing so many things, helping people, helping the community. So we were not aligned. And it could be because of different levels of emotional maturity. And that doesn't automatically make someone bad. Like the other person is not bad or I am not bad. It just means that the relationship may no longer fit what you both are becoming. Because if you're in a relationship, you can grow together, but maybe you can grow separately. And it happens. It happens. And the thing is that when you're not compatible, some people see it as, instead of accepting it, many people personalize it, and that personalization can create this suffering that sometimes we're stuck in the same pattern, the same cycle, right? One of the things that I recommend, stop making their choice your identity. Sometimes maybe we need to hear this. Do not make that, that you're not together, the fact that you the fact that you build that into that your identity. It's not like I'm not lovable. Every time you use I am, you put so much power. So, make I am wonderful, I am amazing, I am lovable. Someone that leaves you, or someone leaving does not erase your value. It doesn't change the person that you are. Someone being unable to love you well does not mean that you're difficult to love, or someone choosing differently does not suddenly make you unworthy. A breakup, as I said at the beginning, is just an experience, is something that happened. It could be, like an adversity. Of course, your life changes, but it's not your identity. It doesn't define you. And I know this deeply because after my own heartbreak, the last one, there were moments when I questioned everything. I mean, was I good enough? Did he love me? Was I too intense? Was I too much? Was I too emotional? Whatever it was. But healing taught me something very important. The end of the relationship does not define the value of the person inside it. So how do you stop internalizing the rejection, right? And maybe see it from the balcony and not like you are there. Healing begins when you separate your worth from someone else's choices. Let's say, it's a friend and that friend doesn't want to be your friend anymore. I mean, that's not about you. Maybe, again, that friend have different choices in their life, but the only way that you are going to separate your worth from someone else's choices is awareness. And awareness is one of the things that can actually change your life. And if you want to change, if you want to become a badass, if you want to become a different person, it takes awareness to do that, because you have to be conscious of what you're thinking, of your emotions. And it takes learning how to regulate your nervous system instead of seeking validation from the people who rejected you. And it takes self compassion, it takes emotional maturity to stop making every ending something terrible about yourself. Because I got to tell you something. You are an amazing human being and you are loved and you matter. Not every rejection is a rejection. Actually, I love Gabby Bernstein. She says that she says that rejection sometimes is redirection. I love that. If you don't follow her, follow her. She's all about manifesting. But yeah, I mean, sometimes rejection could be redirection. And if I see it in my case, I I, I that rejection gave me a new direction, and now I'm guiding women all over the world, and I am seeing in my podcast, like, in many countries, and I'm really happy about that, because maybe you're there sitting, like, maybe listening to me, maybe watching me on YouTube, and you're saying, yeah, that could be it. And sometimes that rejection, it is just I don't know how to say that word, that you're not compatible, right? And sometimes it's protection. Maybe, it's the universe protecting for a life of misery, or sometimes it's life moving you towards something healthier, to a better relationship. But if you immediately turn every ending into I'm not enough, you will continue abandon yourself emotionally. Let's reflect a little bit. I want you, or I invite you to ask yourself something. What story have I attached to rejection? And is that story actually true? Look, the brain sometimes need proof. As I mentioned at the beginning, with the kind of things that happen to us, we're just like waiting, for that to be proof. If we give our brain the proof that that's not true, right? That this rejection is not part of who I am, it's not part of my identity, and that doesn't change my value. You start giving your brain proof of some other times that you believe that you have value, and then with that proof the brain is going to say, oh, okay, then it's not true. But this is really important, because maybe, and we got to understand that their inability to love you the way that you need it had nothing to do with you and with your word. And before we finish today, I want to ask you for something very important to me. Our research shows that more than 90% of the people who watch or listen to the content are not subscribed to the podcast. So if these conversations are helping you heal, grow, reflect, or feel less alone, please make sure that you subscribe or follow. Sorry, or follow the podcast, leave a review, and share this episode with someone that may need it today. That simple action helps more women find the content and reminds platforms to keep showing these conversations to people who are struggling silently. And if this episode resonated deeply with you, I also want to invite you to stay connected because my upcoming book, From Breakup to Badass: How to Heal Your Heart, Reclaim Your Power, and Become the Woman that you were meant to be, goes even deeper into this conversation around heartbreak, identity, healing, emotional wellness, and reinvention. Because healing is not just about surviving the breakup, it's about rebuilding yourself afterwards. And remember, your heart didn't break you, it woke you up. Now go live like the badass that you are.